Hi, hello. This is Antonio, and welcome to the commentary for college parties. This is the third official video that I posted to my main Tonyverse channel after sort of rebranding the channel and sort of reestablishing the content that I was going to be making going forward. Um, this one was an interesting video to make. I knew in early 2023 that I wanted to start doing like these sort of like video essay type. I don't even know if you would call them video essays. They're kind of more just like me rambling about topics that I have a lot to say about and just sort of giving my opinions. I knew I wanted to like make this sort of style of video to just be able to like take a topic and just sort of just talk about it extensively and sort of just give my thoughts on it. And this was not the first idea I had for a video of this nature. I believe it was actually the social media video that I was like the first like really big idea I had for like one of those videos, which did end up becoming the first video that I posted, the Mind Games of Social Media. But this was definitely one. This was definitely an idea that I had shortly after that. Because I've never been like a big party guy. Like I love going out and hanging out with friends and having friends come over and hanging out and playing games and stuff. But I've just never really been a big fan of like going to like a house that's like full of people drinking and dancing and I have nothing against people that like to drink and dance and all that. It's just more like the vibe of it. It just doesn't really fit what I like to get out of social gatherings. But I know that that's not for especially for like people my age, or at least the age I was when I made this video. I know that that's not a lot of people like that, and they and it's like that's sort of like what people in their like early 20s do for fun. And I thought that it was kind of an interesting thing to sort of like explain or just kind of like contrast that with like my sort of ideal sort of like way of spending time. There's a train going by in the background. I don't know if like it's clear on the audio, but it's really throwing me off here. But anyway, yeah. So that was the main sort of like idea I wanted to explore with this video, was just sort of that the contrasting dynamic between what a lot of people my age at the time liked doing and what I liked doing. And I just thought that that would make for a funny little video. And I obviously had like little stories that I wanted to tell about like going to parties and stuff, because I do have some quote unquote party experience despite it being sort of limited. So anyway, yeah. So this was, I knew I wanted to make this video like shortly after making the Mind Games of Social Media, and this was actually planned to be the second video that I was gonna post. The first being the social media one. I wanted to post this one next, and at the time I wanted to like post these videos like a month apart from each other. The social media video ended up coming out in late November, and I wanted this to come out in late December. So that was the plan, and so I wrote this video in like late November, early December, and I finalized the script, and then I actually recorded the audio, and that was that. And originally, what the plan was I was going to have my friends come over, like a week, like the week before winter break started that year. And we were going to get together, have a little game night. So I'm not like the biggest party guy, but I still like to have people over and hang out. And I call them, we like to, me and my roommates like to have people over, and we call them game nights, or at least I call them game nights. But you can more or less call them little parties, I guess, which is even more makes this whole video even more ironic. But regardless, we were gonna have that. We are gonna have a little game night, and then we were gonna have specifically Donovan and Cody. They were gonna stay over that night, and then in the morning we were going to film the party portions of this video, because a neat little aspect of this video that kind of makes it stand out from just more or less in the grand scheme of like the format of video that I'm making nowadays. You know, most of them are, you know, fairly, you know, grounded video essays where it's just kind of like me talking about a subject and just, you know, showing, you know, having like little graphics pop up on screen and all of that. But the funny thing about this video, in contrast to that, was I had a little skit at the end, and that was something that I knew I wanted to add into this video, like pretty much from the very start. I knew I wanted to, you know, have a nice section, a nice, you know, a section of a nice length, where I kind of talk about college parties and my sort of thoughts on them and my experience with them and all of that. And then I wanted the latter, you know, half or the latter part of the video to be a skit where I throw my own party. And, you know, that's just kind of the ironic part of it, I guess. I'm really into irony, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, so that was what the plan was. And so we were going to have Donovan and Cody come over because Dean, you know, Dean, who also appears in the video, was already there, or like he was already, you know, he lives with me. So, or at least at the time he was living with me. So, you know, it made sense to, I don't know. I don't even know. Like, he was there, and then Donovan and Cody were going to be there, and then we were going to film the next morning, and then that was going to be that. And then we were going to go back to our hometown for winter break, and that was going to be what we decided to do. Well, you know, turns out the night before, well, actually, what was interesting is that, you know, I actually wrote, you know, obviously this video did not end up coming out directly after the social media video. I ended up posting The Purpose of Holidays that month. And, you know, what's funny about that is, like, I actually wrote that video in one night. I wrote it, like, pretty much a week before everyone came over to film this video. And, you know, I didn't plan on making The Purpose of Holidays, you know, that year. I had that idea to make it eventually, but I didn't plan on, like, writing it right then and there. Like, I planned on writing it, or, you know, at some point within the next year. But I just got like a burst of inspiration, and that's like something that happens with me in my writing process. Like, if I get inspired to write any like about a video of a certain topic, like I will, you know, a lot of times I'll stop whatever I'm doing and just start writing, because, like, you know, I find that it's hard for me to, like, force inspiration when I'm, like, actively trying to write a video. You know, I still do it, and, you know, I'm not going to say, like, videos turn out badly when I do that, but, you know, at least for me, it's the most satisfying when I'll just kind of be going throughout my day and I have, like, a really good idea for, like, something to write for a video, and so I'll write it down on my phone, or if I'm at my computer, I'll write it down in the actual script document or anything like that. But yeah, I literally just one night, I was supposed to be working on homework, but I just had like a random just burst of inspiration to write for The Purpose of Holidays, and so I sat there and I wrote it all, and then I was like, well, shoot, you know, I guess I'm making this video next. And it was a fairly easy video to make, and I'm actually glad that I ended up making that second, because I feel like it was a nice little, you know, shorter project to make after the social media video. And so that was the second video. But, you know, we still planned on filming the little party skit the morning after everyone came over, and that was what the plan was. Well, what ended up happening is someone, I'm not going to name names, but someone ended up having a little bit too much to drink the night before, and got very violently sick in the morning after, or during the morning after. And so because we needed them to film, we didn't end up filming that morning, which, you know, I was never really that, like, dead set on filming that day. I was just like, you know, it would have been convenient just because, like, we were all there in one city, or in one place at the same time. But I was like, you know, like, especially now that I'm, like, pushing back the video, like, basically an entire month, I was like, yeah, you know, it's whatever. Like, I didn't want to, like, obviously I didn't want to force everyone to film if one or more people weren't feeling well. So we did not end up filming that day. But what we ended up doing is we got together on a random day during winter break, a random day when, you know, the four of us were free again, and we drove up to my apartment, and from our hometown, and we just filmed the party skit that day. and that was that. And yeah, with these videos, I don't really like to impose deadlines on myself. Mainly because it's a lot more stressful. I find it a lot more stressful doing that. Because like I don't have all the time in the world to devote to just making these videos. So I sometimes I set like soft deadlines, like maybe in the video itself I'll mention like, oh yeah, it's this month or something. But most of the time I try not to do that because like I'd rather just not put that pressure on myself to get the video out by a certain day and just be able to take time with it and really like just make sure it's the best video it can be. But sometimes setting deadlines is kind of a nice thing because it does kind of it does force me to kind of discipline myself to work on a video, rather than not giving myself a deadline and just sort of being like, hey, I'll finish it when I finish it. And with this video specifically, early on I didn't really set like a hard deadline for when I wanted to release it, but there was a specific joke within the video that I actually think is coming up here soon that we'll see. But the idea was I had a little bit where I pull up a word a day calendar, and because I use a word in the video that's like maybe a little bit more, so a little bit more like not as commonly used, and so the joke was like, oh yeah, like I'm using this word because it was in my word a day calendar. So I pulled up the like a little prop that I made that was like a word a day calendar, and on the prop obviously it says a certain day, and I thought it would be kind of neat if I coordinated the day on the prop to align with the sort of like general day that I wanted to finish this video and get it posted. And so I ended up making that day January 19th because I was like, okay, I want to post this video, a month away from the holidays video. So I want it to be in January, and I was just like, yeah, sure, why not? We'll make it January 19th. That'll be, it's a Friday night. We'll make that video. That's generally when I wanted to release it. And so, I printed out the prop, and I think I'll pull it up right here in a minute here. And I was like, okay, yeah, it's going to be January 19th. And that kind of like, it did kind of put pressure on me to finish this video, by that day or on that day, because I was like, okay, well, if I want this joke to work, I kind of need it to be posted on that day. So that sort of added a little bit of pressure to my work ethic. But it ended up working out, and the main reason why, so obviously, okay, so, going back a little bit, we filmed the party skit in one day, mainly, all of the parts with, like, my friends Donovan, Cody, and Dean, they were all filmed in one day on, just a random day in December. I actually didn't even finish, like, that, even once we filmed that, like, on that day, I wasn't even done, because this video actually took, I believe, like 4 days to film, because, the process of making these videos is, like, kind of complicated sometimes, because sometimes it's like, I think I'm coordinated enough to, like, plan out, oh, I'm going to film these shots on this day, and these shots on this day, but sometimes, certain things kind of slip by me, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to film this one specific thing. So I end up having to go back and, film on more than just the days that I planned. But overall, like, the live action segments of this video took about 4 days, and it was the day that everyone came over. I filmed like pretty much all the sections of me talking to the camera at my desk. The bulk of those were filmed like that day that everyone came over, before everyone came over. And then the morning after, when we were supposed to film the party skit, I kind of like went back and filmed a bunch of the like extra scenes that I needed, like the scene of me spitting out the Modelo, or the scene of me like on the ground after like trying to sip of alcohol, like those little shots that weren't at my desk, I filmed on the morning after, and my friends kind of helped me with that. And then we filmed like these party segments. We filmed on the same day in December, and then I had to go back and film all of the sections of me talking to the camera at my desk, during the party. I had to film those like early January. And so overall, like this scene right here, this was filmed early January, and I don't know if you can really tell because I can tell because obviously I know that's what I did, but like also you can kind of tell because my hair kind of gets longer, at least like when I'm watching it back, like I can kind of tell that that's what's going on. But maybe it's not that noticeable. Maybe it was never that noticeable for people. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So with all that said, I had this deadline. Going back to the whole thing about me like setting this deadline for myself. Oh, actually, there's one thing I wanted to mention about like some of these scenes here, which we'll see in a minute here. But like we were kind of scrambling to finish this video that day. Like we wanted to get it done as soon as possible, and it actually ended up taking like a good chunk of time, like maybe like 5 or 6 hours. And like in scenes like that, like right here, you can see we have my ring light in the background because we just forgot. We literally just forgot to like go back and or just, like while we were filming the scene, we were filming them so like all these shots so quickly that we couldn't like I don't know, I just didn't notice certain things. Like there's scenes later on where you'll see like my tripod in the background, and I don't think it's like super noticeable, but to me when I'm obviously when I'm editing these videos like super thoroughly, like I do notice them, and I'm like, oh man, that sucks. In retrospect, we could have definitely lighted a lot of these scenes better. Or lit these scenes. I don't know. Grammar. We could have definitely provided better lighting in a lot of these scenes. Let's say that. But like I said, we were working so fast on that day that like we didn't always have time to like set up each shot completely perfectly. But more or less, I think overall, like I am very proud of how this video came out. Like I think the sections that have the section at the beginning where I'm kind of just like talking about college parties, I think it's like just the perfect length. Like it's not too long, it's not too short. It's the perfect length to kind of like summarize my thoughts, at least in my opinion. And then this party skit that we ended up doing, I think it's also a pretty good length. The jokes are pretty snappy. Like there's pretty quick cuts, and like there's not a lot of dead air, which I really like. It kind of just keeps it moving pretty flawlessly, I guess. It flows is more what I'm trying to say. And so this is probably the video that I'm like the most proud of as of right now. I mean, I've only posted, at the time of I'm recording this, I've only posted 4 videos to like that are in sort of this like video essay type style. But I'm definitely planning on doing more, and hopefully I'll have I'll just get better and better at them. But anyway, like I was saying about this deadline that I set for myself, so I set this deadline to be January 19th, and I was like pretty confident that I was going to be able to get this video done by then. But then, obviously winter term that year started, and that made things increasingly difficult because I found myself really struggling to find time to work on this video. Like I would work on it here and there, kind of like between, working on like homework assignments and all that. But it was really hard to like really dedicate a lot of time to working on this. But then literally the week of the planned release date for this video, a big like ice storm hit, or snowstorm. I think it was like I think it was a snowstorm, but it ended up like the snow kind of like it rained, so like the snow became like ice and like slush. So it kind of felt like it was more of like an ice storm later on. But overall, like it snowed really hard in my town. And that caused school to be canceled that week. So I actually ended up getting, and because of that, like class got canceled, and then a lot of homework assignments got pushed back, like all the due dates got pushed back and all of that. So I actually ended up getting a good amount of time to edit this video that week, which in retrospect I think was really needed. Because looking back, I don't know if I would have been able to get this video done by the day that I established that I wanted to get it done by. I don't know if I would have been able to get it done by then, if it wasn't for that ice storm. So, in some ways, like, I am thankful that that ended up happening. And all things considered, this video isn't that long, at least compared to some of the other like video essay sort of videos that I've put out. And especially the skit portion, the portion of like me and my friends at the quote unquote party, that ended up taking like the least amount of time. Oh, I don't know if you just saw right there, but there was a shot where the tripod was in the background. That ended up taking like this whole party segment ended up taking the least amount of time to like go back and edit, because I don't know, I guess it's just because like I didn't have to worry about like adding or like adding all a bunch of like visuals to it and like really polishing it up. Like it was mainly just like my friends just like me and my friends just like dicking around, like talking about whatever. So that was at least nice. These videos, like the real bulk of the work goes into like editing the all the voiceover portions. Like all these live action shots, they really don't take that long. It really just boils down to like coordination and just planning and like getting like any props I need and sort of like because I usually like to film them all within the same like relative time span, so like just for like continuity with like how my hair looks and all of that. But yeah, no, the skit portion took the least amount of time. Yeah, overall, I guess just to kind of like wrap up my thoughts, I'm really proud of how this video came out. I think I definitely want to do more videos like this in the future where it's like half or more or less half like video essay, and then the other part of it is like a big skit, because I really do have a lot of fun with these, because they do kind of like harken back to like the roots of what I used to make. Like, before I started doing like these video essays, I loved doing skits, and so to be able to incorporate them into these more like modern projects is just definitely something that I'm really thankful that I'm able to do.